shared with you today, our end-to-end analytical data pipeline, and how we can use this to assist us with the uncertain times that we are currently living in. And if I look back over the last 2 years, things have been interesting. And what I would like to show you now is how we can apply QlikSense, the end-to-end data pipeline, to assist you to understand your business better, to answer those questions, and to really just guide you through uncertain times, which I personally do not think is going away anytime soon. So what we have been seeing today, just in a nutshell, how the Qlik modern analytics data pipeline works. All of you have different data sources, whether this is an Excel spreadsheet, an XML file, or whether it is a data warehouse, existing data warehouse, whether it is a SAP data warehouse. All of us have raw data. But I always say to my customers, you have masses of data, and I think the data volume is growing at a significant rate, but it does not mean all of that data needs to be analyzed. We have to make sure that we free the data, which means we can have access to the multiple data sources, but make sure the relevant data comes across, and we take it through the process of preparing it to get it analytics ready. I'll show you in the next slide, but that is where Qlik's data integration platform works to help you with your data warehouses, your data lakes, assist you with your real-time data streaming, literally taking the data from its current location, the raw data, and making sure that we can get it to a place, and also to a format, to make sure it is now analytics ready. When we have the analytics ready data, that is when we start working within QlikSense. And like I said, I'm going to focus on the SaaS version today. And this is where we now make sure that the data is understood. And we have had so many cases in the past where we deliver quite, I would say, interesting and very valuable solutions, but at the end of the day, there's no adoption. So as Insight Consulting, and also definitely as Qlik, there's a massive focus on making sure that our users understand the data. And that is all to do with data literacy, making sure you can read a chart, making sure you can understand a chart, and then making sure you can literally action it. And when we talk about actioning data and understanding data, it means that you can answer your business questions, and you can ask additional questions and make sure you can answer those straight away. When we talk about the activating data, we're talking about the data taking over, alerts being set up, so the data being more proactive and telling you if a certain condition is true within your business. Or also to say that to distribute data to non-Qlik users, to making sure the data and your company's data gets to all the corners of your business. To distribute data in different channels, for example, Teams, which you'll see a little bit later, but really making sure your data is now activated and put into action. So that's the modern analytics data pipeline. I'm sure you'll see all of that in the demo that I'm going to do shortly. But just to summarize the end-to-end platform, like in the previous slide, you will see that we have multiple data sources, and Qlik provides all the solutions that you may need within your data space. Today, we're going to focus a little bit more on the data analytics side, which is side to the right, which is QlikSense. But it's important to know that Qlik can also assist you if you have a need for data warehouse, a data lake, or CDC streaming, which is change data control, and which allows you to bring real-time data across to your analytical platform. We have a Qlik catalog, where we allow the users to now go, and it's almost like an online retail environment where they can log in and look at prepared data sets, see information about the data sets, and then take those data sets into any other BI tool, or they can go across to Qlik. So the Qlik data integration solution together with Qlik Catalog is product agnostic. But today, obviously, Qlik is our tool of choice, and I will be showing you everything within the QlikSense cloud environment. And then just to know the cherry on the top, we also integrate with advanced analytics, data science, predictive analytics, which we're not going to focus on today, but what I just wanted to show you, end-to-end platform. If you have a data requirement, Qlik has the correct solution for you. Okay, from here I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint presentation and move to the QlikSense cloud environment. So Chrome is my browser of choice, but Qlik works with any browser that you might be using. It also is 100% mobile as well. So I'm an Apple user, so if you're using Safari, but also Android, you can access your QlikSense environment directly from your internet browser, but we also have a QlikSense mobile application where you can switch to your mobile app and have the same analytical experience from your mobile device. And obviously with the dependency on mobile devices in the modern world, that just means your data goes with you wherever you are. So just to give you a quick overview, Qlik has a client-managed or on-premise solution. So if you look at my environment, you'll see there's a QlikSense, and that's the administration console, where if I click on that, that will connect to a server that's sitting in South Africa in Durban, and that is our on-premise or client-managed environment. I'm very happy to see that South Africa is definitely ready for the cloud, and I am definitely seeing some movement in Africa as well. So most of my customers are either going straight onto the cloud or SaaS environments. The rest of them are slowly but surely migrating across to the cloud. If we look at a cloud environment, there's no need for software installations. There's no need for backups, disaster recovery, upgrades. All of that is taken care of by Qlik, which obviously lowers your costs significantly. But I just wanted to mention, because in some cases I do know that data is not allowed to go cross-border, but just know that even in the SaaS or cloud environment, we can still make sure your data is secure if you're not allowed to publish your data into a cloud environment. But I'll chat about that just now. So if you look at my bookmarks, so I look after quite a few customers, which means I've got quite a few QlikSense environments bookmarked. But today I'm going to show you Insight Consulting's cloud environment. When I click on that bookmark, Qlik is now going to prompt me to log in. I have already logged in today, so it's not prompting me again, but just know that Qlik security is extremely, extremely tight. So when your data is loaded to the cloud environment or any Qlik environment, it is secure, it is encrypted, and there's no need to worry about the security of your data. When I log in, Qlik knows it's me, and based on who's logging in, it will configure the session. So this is my configuration. When I look at the applications, I cannot necessarily see all the applications. And even when I open an application, to use an example as a sales analysis application, when Charlene opens the application, I can only see sales data for South Africa. But when someone else, the person next to me, he might be the sales manager, the country sales manager, when he opens the same application as me, he can see the sales data for the whole of Africa. So I just wanted to make sure that you understand that the data, we can set up the security in line with what users are allowed to see, and your data is secure. Okay, quick overview of the SaaS environment. What I like about SaaS, so we spoke about understanding data. And I think for too long, this has been neglected, where users are not data literate. Users don't know where to start. There's very low adoption. They fall back on their old way of doing things, the manual process, the Excel spreadsheets. And we really want to and need to empower our users to make sure there's a return on investment and make sure that they are using the tools that are in place to save time and to make business decisions on the fly, informed business decisions by using their analytical applications. So what Qlik have done, we have a getting started section, and this helps with your onboarding. So you can see how to start with data. How do I bring my data set in? Now that my data set is within QlikSense, how do I analyze it? How do I visualize my data? What's the correct visualization to use for the specific data set or for what I'm trying to understand about my data? And you can see also the basic onboarding. So this for me is so important to make sure the users are comfortable and the adoption is in place. You'll see that there's also some videos that they can easily access to see how do I load data into an app? How do I find two different data sets? How do I link them? How do they associate? and they can very easily get access to these training videos. And then also some demo apps. Even as a developer, sometimes we get, I almost want to say developer's block, where we don't really know, how should I be visualizing the data? I need a fresh idea. I want to wow my users. How do I visualize procurement data? And what we have here is demo apps that have been done by very experienced and very smart people. And for us to just go see what visualizations are out there, what is the best visualization to use? How do I visualize a specific set of data? And that I can really say, me personally, I use this as well, just to get some inspiration, new ideas, new ways of looking at my data. Okay, so that's all the training, which is very nicely packaged in your on your homepage. And you will see that we have this little button over there as well. This is for you to stay on the ball with what's new. QlikSense, I sometimes get surprises when I log in and the environment looks different, especially when I do demos and I get a little bit of a shock. But the beauty about this is that Qlik is on top of things. There's always something new, something exciting. The product is developing day by day. And to see what the new developments are, to see what's coming next, we can go to recent product announcements. There's some webinars. I make a point of attending these to make sure that I am informed. And even the technical and troubleshooting, the enabling webinars, those are so helpful for users to understand what are Qlik doing, to make sure what you understand the roadmap and that you are aligning with the direction Qlik are heading in. We've spoken about the learnings and the demos, which you can also access from your sheet. Pre-release announcements. So yeah, you will even know about future releases that other people do not even know about yet. Help, I personally use help a lot. So this, not like all other, sometimes I see help files are not very helpful. This one is indeed helpful, very simple in English. And I use this a lot to understand how do I do things, what's best practice, and how do I find my way around Qlik. And this I also like ideation. So within Qlik, we can submit ideas. So if a customer, for example, says to me, you know, I'd really like to have this feature within Qlik, we can go submit those ideas, and our users and our customers can then go vote. And we will see that in the next release. So you can go vote for ideas that you have to improve or to change the way that Qlik works. So they're really listening to their users. So that's the getting started area. I want to go to home. So home is my home. So I can customize this to have quick access to whatever I need access to. So you'll see there is a customize your home button. And here you have access to your applications, your data, your charts, your notes. And here you can go and add things. You can go remove things if you want to. If you don't want the training to display, you can move things around and make sure that this becomes your environment. It's personalized, and it helps you to get access to what you need access to. You can also move these things around if you need to. So if you rather want to have quick access to your applications, then you can do so. So me personally, I want to see my apps and I want to see my data before I get to my notes. So this is your little environment. You can put your stamp of approval and your customized view on that. Just to see what I have in my home screen, my apps. So these are apps that I've developed or I have worked with. I am the owner. So I can go and edit these, I can view these, and the one that we'll be focusing on today is the Active Intelligence demo. Next is my data. So obviously, if we look at the process, we have the ELT, so the extraction of data from the multiple data sources we've spoken about. That then comes across, and we normally store that after it's been extracted, we store it as a QVD. A QVD is a Qlik data file that might have been transformed, or it might just be the raw data from your data source. So we extract the data and we then store it as a QVD that has a very high compression rate, but it's also in Qlik format. So if we now pull that QVD into our application, it's already in Qlik format, and we can then start with the transformation of that QVD to build the data model and to build the analysis on top of that data model. We'll get to that shortly. Maybe I should just mention that the extraction of data is automated within the Qlik environments. So these QVDs can work on a task scheduler, and I'll show you that again a little bit later. But we can set these to reload at any time that we need to reload. If you have a real-time requirement, I will recommend we start talking about something called Replicate, which is on the Qlik data integration side. But within Qlik Sense alone, you can schedule your QVDs to come through even more than once a day. So you can have near live data, but you don't have to go do anything manually. The data comes in, we transform the data, we clean it, we build the data model, and we display it in the analytics application. So Qlik is not all about pretty pictures and QVDs or data sources. When you are working within your data source, you can leave notes, which is a lovely collaboration tool. So when I see something funny within my data, I don't have to pick up the phone. I can literally leave a note on that chart. I can tag a colleague or the person responsible for that division, and they will get an email to say that Charlene has sent you a message in Qlik Sense. The person can then log in, see exactly what selections I had, what chart was I looking at, and they can then come back and answer me and even bring another chart in to help me understand what is going on there. So it's definitely breaking down the silos, the users having that environment where they collaborate, understand, talk about their data, and make sure we're all on the same page. Within our applications, we obviously have visualizations, charts. So within Qlik, we don't always have to log onto the application to see the latest chart. So if I am, for example, monitoring my financial application, I'm monitoring my waterfall chart, I can very quickly come in here and see what does my waterfall chart look like today. So the new data would be loaded through. This will be my latest data. If I can't answer my questions by just looking at this chart, I can then click on View in App and go dig further in my analytical application. And then last but not least, we have favorites. So this is just for you to have quick access to the applications that you access on a regular basis. And as I've mentioned, we will be going to Active Intelligence demo shortly. Okay, so that's my home screen, but yeah, this is your environment. You play with it and you customize it. Today we're going to spend a little bit more time in catalog. So within catalog, this is to keep your environment neat. So we have many different things that can be saved in a catalog. Within catalog, we have spaces. A space is almost like a folder. And like I said, it's to keep things neat and also to manage access. If I look at what you can see here, I have a personal space. So within my personal space, I'm the only one who can see those data sets, my automations, my applications, until I'm ready to publish it to a shared space. And now other users can also see it. So every space here is shared with a certain number of users, and you can control that. And as soon as I publish my application into my shared space, they can now also see my application, use my application, provide feedback. And we also use these spaces to manage the development process or the software development lifecycle. So we can publish something to a shared space for users, for example, to do a user acceptance testing, make sure they're happy with the application, check the data integrity. And once that has been signed off, we can then move it to the managed environments, which you see at the bottom. And here they can't fiddle with the application too much. It's now live. It's being used by everyone that's allowed to use it. And if the developer then would like to make changes, we need to check it out of the managed environment back to shared or to personal and change it and then follow that same process again. Okay, so as I mentioned, I said I'm going to focus on active intelligence space today. And within this space, we have many types of files and things. So I can show you there's some data files in here. These are the QVDs that I spoke about earlier, the raw data files that I'm bringing across into my analytical environment, and that contains the data. Okay, without that, we pretty much don't have an application. We also have the apps, which I'm going to switch on. And if you want to, you can go switch on your notes, your links, and even your charts, the charts that you might have pinned to your home screen. So everything very neatly into one space, but you can filter to only see what's relevant to you. So I'm now seeing my data files, my application, and also my automations. I don't think I have any automations in this space. So I'm just going to untick that and keep it clean. So So this is now the process that we follow. First, we start with our data set. But sometimes we don't even know where the data is coming from, what fields do we have in a data set. And developers don't always like documentation. Myself, I'm a developer. We try and avoid documentation. I'm sure the developers in the audience will agree. So in this case, we would like to understand where does this data come from, and also where is it being used. So if I click on, first let me see the details about the data. So if I click on this little button over here, Qlik is going to tell me straight away, how big is this file? I can see how big it is. I can see I'm the owner. I can see that last time it was updated was 6 days ago. How many rows of data do I have in here? How many fields? And straight away, Qlik is also giving me some analytics straight away. I haven't even done anything. I've brought my raw data set in. Straight away, I can see for every field, we saw there's 16 fields, and you can click on view fields to view all of them. I can see there's an account type with maybe three values. I can see this field, that's my average, and I can get a basic understanding of my data even before I am pulling it into my application. And then obviously from here, you can create an analytical application straight from this data set, but I'm not going to do that today. So I have a very clear understanding of my data set before I get to analysis. Okay, I'm just going to go back to my, my catalog, my space. And the next thing I want to show you in my space is that I want to see the impact analysis, the lineage of this data set. Okay, so in this case, this data set does not have lineage. Let me just go back. So let's go look at the impact analysis, and the impact analysis will tell us straight away, where are you using this file? So if I go to my impact analysis, so obviously a data set can be used in many applications. It can be one source, can be pulled into, for example, the sales analysis. It can be pulled into opportunity analysis, and can also be pulled into finance analysis, really depending on what your requirement is, because these applications are built as bespoke, and it's built in line with your requirements. So one data source can be used in many applications. In this case, if we look at ops predictions, we can see that this data set is only used in my active intelligence demo. I can once again see how many fields I have. And if I click on this, I can see that we have this table that we're focusing on at the moment. And there I can very quickly go and see what fields are in this table. So if I use this data source in many applications, I would have been able to see what applications being used in. And if, for example, I'm making a change to my data source, what will the impact be, and what analysis applications will be impacted by this change? Okay, going back to my catalog again. If I now go click on my application and I go look at the lineage for my application, sorry, I should have looked at lineage for application, not for data set, you will see that that is my application. But now as a developer, I can understand what tables are being pulled into this application. I can see my data flowing into this application. And just to look at the one that we have been looking at, if I now expand this one, I can see all 16 fields and how that, if I select all, I can see how that flows into my application. So this is definitely still a very simple environment, but you can build your lineage so you can see what's the data source, how does it flow into one or many applications, and where's my data being used, and even what fields are being used from each data source to build my analytics. Alrighty, so that's the impact analysis and our lineage. And that is just to understand what's going on even before we start analyzing our data. The next thing I would like to talk about is faults. So what we've got here is our active intelligence application. This is running purely in a QlikSense environment. All these data sets are sitting in a QlikSense SaaS environment. I do understand some of my customers have a concern of loading data into the cloud. I have spoken about the on-premise solution that we do have, but SaaS is definitely the way forward from a Qlik perspective. Qlik is a SaaS first company, so we are recommending our clients to go to the SaaS environment. There's more features, and as you see later, to activate your data. So if you do still have that concern to put your data into the cloud, we have a hybrid solution. A hybrid solution means that you can still have an on-premise server, but and we call that a QlikFort. That server will, the version of the software will still be managed by Qlik. The users will access the applications that run on that server via the cloud environment, but the data will never leave that server. So this is just how Qlik are coming to our customers and say that if there is a unique requirement from a data security perspective, we can keep some of your data within a QlikFort, but the users still have the pleasure of having that full SaaS experience with all the activations that we will talk about later. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open this application. So when I open the application, I'm not hitting any database or any data source. As I mentioned earlier, the applications and the data extraction runs on a scheduler, and the data comes into our QlikSense application, ready for us to analyze. So when I go sit down at my desk in the morning, my latest data will be in my Qlik environment. No need to do extractions, no need to do manual transformation or cleansing of data. Everything has been done on my behalf. Okay, very quick overview of my application. So we have a prepare step, and for me, coming from a development background, that is your most important step. So that horrible cliche of garbage in, garbage out, unfortunately, that is true. We need to get the data into a data model to enable the pretty pictures and the analysis that you see in front of you. So most important step. And there I can definitely say Qlik differentiates itself from any other business intelligence tool, end-to-end platform. Whether we use a data warehouse and the Qlik data integration platform, or whether we use the built-in scripting component of QlikSense, we can take care of that ETL, extract, transform, and load process within the Qlik product platform. Okay, Qlik also takes care of different users. So if I had to go show you the different ways that you can prepare your data, there is a more visual way, which I would say the super users will use, or the business analysts. They tend to enjoy the visual way of preparing your data. But if it comes to the more technical guys, me personally, I go straight to the scripting, and I'll show you that shortly. But let's just go into the data manager. So within the data manager, we can now see what tables are within this application. Let's give it a second to load. And we can also see how these tables are linked. Okay, so we can see ops prediction. That's the one that we've been looking at. You can see what fields we have here. And we can also go see how that's linked. It's linked to ops. And we can see what field this is linked on. So Qlik is really smart. If we just drop our data sets within Qlik, Qlik will automatically start suggesting the links or the joins between the tables, mostly by fields that are named the same, but it also looks at the actual values of the fields. And if it has a very high subset ratio, Qlik will then say, these two fields should be linked. And this is how we link these two data sets. We can also go look at how Qlik linked these two. You can see this is linked on account type from ops table and account type on ops prediction. You can go and change this. So you can go and very easily customize this association and say that Qlik, I think that's not the best way to link my two data sets. I would like to take control and link this myself. Okay, let's go back to that table. Yeah, we don't just see how many fields we have. We also have the option of previewing the data. So I can see exactly what's going on within my data. And Qlik will already also categorize data. So if I click on this little edit button, I can now go and click on every single field. I can go and rename the field. I can hide some fields, so I don't need it for analysis, throw it away. Let's just go back to that field. I can see some information about the field. So how many distinct values do I have? How many total values do I have? And each value, how many times do I see that in my data set? I can replace some values. So then this helps us with our data cleansing to see, I don't want to see that value. If you see that value, replace it with another value. I can also say that if a null is coming through, give it a value. So because a null is something, it's nothing. So we can't really analyze a null. So yeah, we can start cleaning the data to say if a null comes through in this field, rather give it a value so that we can understand, is it a data cleansing issue? Is it a data capturing issue? Why do we have so many nulls? We can also take this field, so you can see that is a long string, and we can split it. So we can say to Qlik, always take the first three letters, for example, and create a new field from this. And this just helps us to start transforming the raw data set to make sure that our data becomes meaningful. We're building the data model and then building analysis on top of that. You can also see that if our data is in a pivot in a cross table format, we can unpivot it. So that I use quite often as well. And we can also go and add fields. So if we have a calculated field, so some calculation, field that's made up of two different, to say first name, surname equals full name, you can very easily go and do this here. And you can even use an if. Let me show you. Let's just say number of ops 1. So I can go say if, I just need to go find that field, that name, if this one over here. So I can go say, please just enter opportunity lost 1. If that is equal to 1, then count 1, else count 0. And now I have, it's going to give me a preview. And now you'll see that I have now created a new field, which is based on an if condition. And straight away, Qlik will tell me how many ops have I 1, which is, so I'm counting those, and how many should I not be counting. If I move across, there I can see number of ops 1. And that's all lost, so that's all 0. But as soon as I have 1, you will see that it does have a value. And once again, I can go transform that new field that I've created, and I can go set nulls, I can go replace values, and just transform my data if I need to. So this is the visual way of transforming data. And like I said, this is for the end user who does not want to do the scripting. Okay, so that's our data manager. Now I'm going to be taking you to the data load editor. So everything that I've now done in this data load manager, Qlik writes the script on my behalf. So if I just before I get to the other sheets, you'll see there's an auto-generated section, and this is everything that I just did. Qlik will generate the script for me. You can see I can't change it until I unlock it. So that is not for me to worry about. Qlik did the scripting on my behalf. If you are a developer and you're comfortable with the scripting and the syntax thereof, you have more control in the load script or the data load editor. In the data load editor, we can add connections. We can add data from a data catalog, which we have seen in our spaces. We can create a new connection. Here you can see there's some file connections we can link to. There's some data sources. So if you have a normal ODBC connection, there's some data bricks. There's even Facebook, social media, Google Ads, Google BigQuery, SQL Server. There's a lot that you can. There's an Oracle one. Even APIs, we use a REST connector to connect to APIs, SAP. All of these connectors are there for you to help you connect to your data set and see what tables are reside in your database. So this can all be done within the data load editor, and even data files as well. If you want to bring a new data file in, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, you can just literally drop it here and Qlik will make that part of your data sources, or you can point it to a folder sitting on your machine and Qlik will then extract the data from there. Okay, so how we take our data, we can define some variables. We can transform data, say we don't want to include all the fields, comment those out, create new fields. We can do our loops, we can do if statements. Really, the sky's the limit as to how you want to use the scripting component. But like I said, You have more control in the scripting than in the data, sorry, what's it called again? The data manager. So you've got more control to really build the data model to exactly what you want to see here. Once we have our data scripting done, we can then load the data. Loading means that we're now bringing the data into our application. If we already have data in application, it's going to bring the latest data or the refreshed data into application. And what you then end up with is the data model. So this is now where the magic happens. This is the data model that will control your analytics. So when you click on something and you and the data reduces or filters, this is all controlled by the data model. So if we, for example, self-service and the associations just magically still work, all controlled about this data model. And that's how we build the data model. We normally follow Ralph Kimball principles, where we build our star schemas or snowflake schemas. That is just how Qlik enjoy working with the fact tables and then the lookup tables around that. Okay, not going to get too technical, not going to worry about this too much. I'm going back to my app overview. So that's all the tech talk. Sorry for the business people in the room, but that is all the tech talk done. My data is now in. I'm now ready to start analyzing my data. So within Qlik, you will have guided analytics. Guided analytics is your reports, your visualizations, your analytics that you use on a regular basis. So this is normally these public sheets, and I will use them. I'll consume the analysis, I'll filter, I'll drill, I'll ask questions, I'll answer straight away. But you all know that one day you get to the office and now you want a new report. So what Qlik allows you to do is to go and create your own sheet. You can start from scratch to create your own sheet, or you can take an existing sheet and duplicate. You can make it private, so you're the only one who can see it, but you can also copy it, or you can duplicate it and then use that as a base for your self-service. Okay, so that's the analysis bit. Storytelling I'm going to get to a little bit later. So if I show you what a dashboard looks like, and I'll give you a very quick navigation overview. The beauty about Qlik is everything is linked, everything is associated. We have a associative engine running in the background that's being managed by that data model that we spoke about. And as soon as I click on something, so if, for example, I want to see all opportunities for those 3 months, and I click Confirm Selection, my data will then filter to straight away only show me data associated to my selection. I will always know what I'm viewing by looking at my selections there in my selections bar. And I have to remember that at the moment, I'm only viewing those 3 months. If I look at the scatter plot over here, let's just make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, I can look at my number of opportunities I've won in those 3 months, and I can see how big, what was the value of that opportunity, and every dot is a country. So, but it's for those 3 months only. If I now want to go and focus on my outliers, I can very easily go and select those, filter, and now I'm viewing my analysis for the 3 months for the 3 countries only. Okay, and if I just drop this down, you will see that 3 months selected and 3 countries selected. Okay, I might now ask a question and say that what salespeople, who are the salespeople linked to these opportunities for these 3 countries? I can then from here jump to my sheet called salesperson, and the beauty is my selection remains, and now I can see who my salespeople are and what value they contributed. So I can see that Dina, she's definitely my my star salesperson, and I can also see on the actual scatter plot how many customers do they have and what is the opportunity that they have won. So once again, I can decide I actually just want to focus on my top 5 and just see how do they compare from a number of customers and the value that they are bringing in. If I prefer a numbers to pictures, believe it or not, I like numbers. So I can right click and I can go and view my data. And straight away, the values in the scatter plot will then be displayed in a table, and I can go back to my chart when I'm done. So Qlik really takes care of of every user and the way they want to see their data. Okay, to clear selections, I can very easily just clear my selection there, or I can just clear all my selections, and now I can see my salespeople performance just from a higher level of my consolidated view. If today I need to understand what Barney is up to, you'll see there's a salesperson called Barney, and I need to understand what sales transactions are linked to Barney. From here, I can go to my opportunity detail. You will see Barney is still selected, and I can see the lowest level of information of Barney to see what type of customers do they have, what's the value, how long have they been working on this opportunity, and even link this to my CRM to open it into my CRM, whether it's Salesforce or what CRM you are using, but very easily get access from here to my CRM. If I clear Barney, you will see now I'm viewing a list of the lowest level of information of all the opportunities that I'm currently working on. This is also a way to drill back up. So if, for example, I only want to look at opportunities for new customers, I can select new customers. And if I now go back to my dashboard, you will see that new customers are still selected, even though I selected it from my detail screen. Now I can look at opportunities per month for new customers by country, and then over here I can see the probability of these closing. Okay, so that is how we navigate through Qlik. You can see that it's extremely easy to use QlikView. When we train our users, which forms part of our project, we don't normally spend too much time teaching them navigation. We rather help them understand what they're seeing, help them understand the tool to make decisions, ask questions, and then also answer questions at the same time. Okay, if I need to now ask someone a question about the new customers that I have identified, this is where we're now putting our data, start putting it into action. And I can now say that I need to ask a colleague. I don't know the answer. What I can do, I can take my open ops, I can right click, and I can say, I would like to create a new note. And what will happen to the left? This object will move to the left, and I can now send a message to any colleague. So my colleague will now see that's the chart that I was looking at. When they click on it, they will also see the selection I had. And what I can now do, I can go see, well, these are all my colleagues, and I can go and tag Alan. Poor Alan always gets tagged by me, and I can say new customer opportunities. Look at this list. Alan will now receive an email with my image in there, and he can then click on that link and come back, see exactly what I looked at, and then answer a question that I might have asked him. We can also say that over the next few months, I need to monitor opportunities for new customers, but I don't want to log into Qlik every day. I'm slightly lazy. So in this case, I can subscribe to a dashboard. So how do I do that? I can subscribe to my sheet, and I can call it dashboard new customers. I can then add my dashboard, but I can also add additional sheets. So if, for example, I say I want to see the details of the opportunity, I can then schedule it. So to be daily at a specific time, I'm just going to set this to in 2 minutes time, so you can see that coming through my email. I can add other users to the subscription, so it's not just me seeing it, other users are seeing it as well. And as soon as I hit subscribe, Qlik will now send this to me on a daily basis with my selection in place to my inbox, which we'll look at shortly. I can also say that I actually don't want this whole dashboard to be sent to me. I only want the open ops. Same thing. I can come into a chart. I can click on subscribe and say this is my new customers. Please send this to me on a daily basis. Let's just make that 4 minutes later. I can also include other users, and once again I will hit subscribe, and please remind me to go and open my email and show you how that came through. This can also be saved as a PDF, as you've seen there, and we can also get data out of Qlik. So let's just go and zoom into this table. If I would like to take this out of Qlik to continue working on it, or to share with someone who do not have a Qlik license, I can right click, and I can just say download. What download will do now, it will download that as an image, as a PDF, or I think is probably being used the most is as an Excel spreadsheet. And I can then continue using that Excel spreadsheet wherever I need to. Okay, we need to give it 1 minute more before my emails will come through, but let's just open my email salon so that we can see how Qlik will send through my my subscriptions to my inbox. There you can see one has just come through. That's my dashboard. If we just open this to see the format, dashboard new customer, we can click on that to see it in the app straight away, or we can just click on the PDF. And here we can see there's my dashboard, and there's the second sheet, the opportunity details that I've added to this. I have to emphasize the subscription. Let's just wait for the second one. The subscription, when I share with other users, this is for Qlik users only. So subscriptions can be done by Qlik users with licenses. And obviously I can now forward it to anyone once it's in my inbox, but there is also a way to send your reports to non-Qlik users, which we'll get to a little bit later when we start looking at the active intelligence. Okay, we're just waiting for that second email to come through. I'm sure it will come through shortly. There you go. There's the open ops, the new customers, same thing. That's just the one table that I subscribe to. I can quickly view it in my app, or I can just go and open my PDF and view the details of my the chart that I wanted to monitor. Okay, I'm going to close my email so I'm not distracted. Okay, so from here, so this is our guided analytics and how we can start having that collaborative aspect, how we can start subscribing to push data to us. So now we're being more proactive. We don't have to log on to Qlik every day. But let's look at a case where I need to self-service. I can't find the data that I need, that I'm looking for. It's a new report. How do I do that? So what you can do, you can start with a new screen, which I'll show you just now, but I can also just take my existing sheet, duplicate it, and you will see that a copy of this now comes into my sheets. No one else can see it until I publish it. But if I now go into my sheets, you will see that there's an edit sheet option. And this now allows me to go into this. I'm in developer mode. And now you'll see that I have a bunch of fields, which is in my data model. I've got master items. Master items are dimensions and measures that the developer put here for me. So you can see that it's almost want to say it's foolproof with no disrespect, but they have done the scripting and the formulas, all the hard work they have done for me. So I don't have to worry about that. I can literally just go, if I want to maybe add number of opportunities to this table, I can very easily do so. I can take this chart and say, I actually don't want this chart. I would rather want to see, let's just look at a pie over here. I would like to see how many countries we have. And then from a measure perspective, I would like to see how many opportunities we have, one per country. There you see by just dragging two fields across, I now have my own visualization. And I can now, to the right, I have all the properties. I can say that I actually want to limit my countries. At the moment, it's limited to top 10. I only want to see my top 5 countries. I'm not interested in others. I just want to see my top 5. And I want to change my presentation slightly. I prefer donut to a pie. And I also want to make it look slightly fancy. I can go change the colors, can be conditional coloring. And yeah, I make it go look pretty. I also don't want to show my legend. Done. So what I've done now, I can also take this and say, like, I like this chart, but today I want to see this in a bar chart, in a table format. So I can very easily go and convert this to a table, and because I want to see my numbers. So what I've done now, I've taken an existing sheet and I have changed it to be in line with the specific requirement that I have today. The beauty of this is that everything still works. So if I select United Kingdom, everything is now updated to only show me opportunities for the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, these are the industries that we have with opportunities linked to that. Okay, the same thing applies if we want to create a sheet from scratch. Exact same thing, drag and drop environment. You can ask Klik to help you put this together, but you can also just say, I'm doing it myself, I'm feeling brave today. And you can, in this drag and drop environment, very quickly, let's just go to dimensions. Let's just put opportunity type, and let's just look at the number of customers by opportunity type, so that I have quickly created. I can even get slightly fancy, and let's go add a map and see how my data looks on a map. When I go to my measures, I look at my dimensions, I want to put my country there, add as a point layer, and maybe I want to see my opportunities won by country. And that is the size of my bubble. And now I've done some geoanalytics, which comes with base QlikSense without me knowing too much. I've literally created this myself. And once again, if I want to look at my new customers, I can go select that. I don't know if you even noticed, but my bubbles in my map very quickly updated. And it's important to know that these countries, Klik automatically identify those country names and said that that field should be done by analyzed in geoanalytics. And from here, we can also go and make a selection. Just go select Europe over there. And you'll see that my selection is at the top. We can drill down to street level if your data allows it. And even if I go back to any previous sheet, so let's just go look at trends, you will see that my selection still remains, and these are all the trends that I'm viewing for new customers for those 7 countries that I have identified. So when it comes to self-service, Klik is extremely strong, and you're not tied or bound by what the developer has given you to work with. Okay, so that's our guided analytics and our self-service. Now we're going to take it one step further. And this is where we start talking about activating our data. Even though we have created our visualizations, Klik can also understand the data. And this is now we start talking about machine learning. We can start predicting our data and really taking it past just reports, just the pie chart or just the bar. When we look at, I'm going to click on Insight Advisor now. Within the Insight Advisor environment, you can explore your data yourself. So I can say, today I would like to focus on master items. I want to look at country, and I want to look at number of customers per country. Klik will then go and say, look at this visualization. This is my narrative. This is what I find. So this is my number of customers per city, and number of customers on a geographical map with a polygon. And Klik will give me these very fancy charts, and all I have to do is just go add to sheet. So I'm going to be looking very smart. Let me just add country there. So I'm going to be looking very smart, and here it's giving me a little bit of a narrative as well. So I can be specific as to what fields I want to go and analyze. If I want to add account industry, Klik will now say, these are your countries, and these are the industries within your countries. Do you like this? You can say go add to sheet. I can also go and change this to the side. So to say, actually don't want account industry, want account rep name. Now Klik is saying that I've noticed that you've made changes to this chart. Would you like me to learn from this? And this is now where the machine learning comes in, where the more we use it, the smarter it will become and more in line with the way that we look at our data. Okay, that's the one way where we can tell Klik what fields we're interested in, but I can also ask Klik a question. So I'm not going to attempt to speak to Klik, but you can see that at the top there is a little microphone, but you can ask a question as well. So I'm going to ask, and this is called natural language question. I'm going to ask Klik, show me the open amount by close month, year we will win. I'm going to, and that doesn't even really make a lot of sense, but this is a natural language question. Klik picked up that win is, should be opportunities that we won. So you can see that this chart is per month, which I asked for, close month. And it's taking my win-loss prediction, set it to 1, even though I asked for win. And it's also given me a bit of a narrative and saying what filters have applied. We can now take this and let's go add that to my new sheet. And this is literally Klik and I'm taking over and giving me, I'm asking a question and Klik will come back answer that question for me, showing me the best way of visualizing, but also still making sure that it's learning from me. It's not taking over, thanks goodness for that, but it's learning from me, and the more I use it, the better it will become. Okay. And from here, I can also do specific KPIs, ranking, and Qlik will assist me through the process. And that also helps with that data literacy we spoke about earlier. And sometimes when you have developer block, just for Qlik to now help you take the raw data set and make sense of that to help you understand your data. Okay, so that is our Insight Advisor. If I go out of this and I go to my new sheet, you will see that that is the chart that I've brought across from my Insight Advisor. There's a filter on it called 1, and it will tell me it's filtered. And yeah, I can see the data that that chart contains. Okay. The next way that we can activate our data is something that my customers are absolutely loving, and that is something called alerts. So to show you how alerts work, I'll go back to the dashboard, and I'm going to just focus on this table chart over here. Just give it a second. I'm just going to zoom into it. So if we look at this table, we have an open amount by opportunity name, and it's currently sitting at 427 million. So once again, I'm a lazy user. I don't want to log on to Qlik every day, but obviously in the background, new data is going to be coming in based on our task that's scheduled to bring new data in. And I want to be notified as soon as my open amount hits 450 million. So what you can do is you can ask Qlik to watch the data, be proactive about the data, and notify me as soon as I hit 450 million. How do I do that? I can right click, I can go to alerts, I can say create a new alert, and so I can give it a title. I can call it 450 mil open. Okay, it's already saying open, 450 mil. So Qlik is telling me in this chart, these are the fields that I've got to work with, and I'm happy with that. I've got a preview of my data, and I'm going to say I'm happy with that. Go to next. And here I'm going to say, look at my open amount. You can see what you've got to work with in this chart. Look at my open amount. As soon as my open amount is greater than 450 million, and you can add additional conditions, or you can get quite smart to say, as soon as it is 20% within budget, or as soon as I experience a 20% month-on-month growth, then you get notified. For demo purposes, I'm keeping it simple. As soon as my open amount gets to 450 million, at the moment it's saying this data will not trigger. I'm going to click next, and I'm going to say every time my new data comes in on a scheduler, and I can also share it with others, and then click create. So what Qlik will be doing now, every time my data reloads, it will check, have we met 450? And as soon as I've met that, I'm now activating my data and making sure I get that email to notify me we've done it. We have hit 450 million. Okay, my customers are absolutely loving this. You can also set it for any type of data related alerts. Okay. The next way to activate the data that I would like to show you is something called automations. So for that, I'm just going to go out of this application and show you how automations work. So I'm just going to go to my personal space, because that's where I loaded my automations, and I'm just going to filter on automations. So automations, what that is an environment where we can create a workflow that is automated, and it's no code, or you can get fancy and code. Me personally, I try and keep it simple, and we have predefined blocks within these workflows to activate our data. The first one I'm going to show you is Teams. So just to open this alert. So this one has been predefined. I can see when last this has run. I can see the history of this application, and also I can schedule it. So I can say this automation has to run every morning 8 o'clock and push this message and this chart to my Teams in a certain channel. Okay. Just to show you what this looks like. So how this works, you can see these blocks that create my workflow. And this one is now set to manual mode, which I will kick off manually to show you how it works. But obviously you can schedule these to run whenever you need to run it. And you can see that I'm picking up data from my application. When we look at the application, it's the Active Intelligence demo that we've looked at, and I'm telling it send a message to Teams. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to run this, and Qlik will kick off the workflow. And as soon as it's got the answer, it's executed it, and it's sent a message to Teams. So let me just bring my Teams window across and go to Teams. And I can go down to Active Intelligence Demo, and here you can see, just minimize that, 1438, which is, there came my message that I wanted to send to my users, and obviously I'm just sending this myself, but I can send it to everyone, and there's the image that I want them to monitor on a daily basis. So this can be automated, so even if a user doesn't have a Qlik license, we can push messages, images to that user on a daily, weekly, monthly basis so that they can see exactly the same as what the Qlik user is seeing. So that's one way we can activate data. And with automations, you can really, there's so many different ways of automating your data. I'm just going to show you the two use cases. The second one that I want to show you, and sure, my customers are really loving this as well. This is where we can now distribute data to non-Qlik users. So I'm just going to go to personal again and show you the automations. So once again, I'm telling Qlik, sorry about that, my connection dropped. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling Qlik on a scheduled basis, go to my application, pick up some of my sheets. It could even be objects within my sheet, and distribute it to an audience, Qlik or non-Qlik, and so that they can see the same reports as what I am seeing. So just to show you how this automation works, once again, we can see some information about the automation. It's failed a few times before I had to fix it. It can be scheduled to go out at a specific time. And we can also customize these reports to send out to all my sales reps, but apply a filter to each report so that they can see only their data. So just to show you what these blocks look like, we're creating the report. And once again, I'm saying in my Active Intelligence demo, this is my report name, and I'm adding sheets to the report. I only want to add my dashboard to the report, generate the report, and send it via email. So if I click on run here, you will see that my automation is now kicked off because it's still on manual mode. And my report is now generated from my application and sent to whoever needs to get it. In this case, it's obviously just me. Just give it a second. I'm just going to open my email salon. Yeah, there you can see my automation has been completed. Close it. And then you can see straight away in my inbox, there's my daily reports, and this should look familiar to you by now. There's my dashboard, and even the one that I created through the machine learning, there is my complete dashboard, and this has now been sent out to Qlik and non-Qlik users. Okay, I'm going to just switch back to my PowerPoint presentation, and I really hope that, I know that was a lot, and it's really information overload, but I really hope that I did Qlik justice to explain the end-to-end platform, to explain how we can take our business data from multiple data sources, irrespective of where my data is sitting in, whether it's on-premise data, whether it's cloud data, how I can free my data, freeing my data within Qlik Sense, which we call analytics, Qlik Data Analytics, or whether we need a more sophisticated data warehouse environment through Qlik data integration. How do I free my data? How do I find it? Like I said, not all data is relevant, but how do I make sure my data is found, transformed, clean, mapped, and ready to be analyzed? Once we have it, analytics ready, how do we make sure the users understand it? And that's where the data literacy pillar comes in, to make sure that they can understand what they're seeing, and make decisions by looking at their data. And then last but not least, but I'm really hoping I did display today, is how do we take the data and we activate it? We don't have to log in. We don't have to wait for that Excel spreadsheet to come into our inbox. How do we activate it? By setting up alerts, by setting up automations to send messages to teams, distributing PDFs, creating notes to create that collaborative environment. And that is what we talk about when we say Qlik activating data, the end-to-end active data pipeline. And when we look at how quickly we can see return on investment from a passive business intelligence environment to an active intelligence environment. And you can just see how the business will derive value from their data much quicker. The next slide, just to bring it back to the 3 pillars within QlikSense. And I think we've been through this, but just to summarize, our data services, whether that's Qlik data integration, Qlik data analytics, analyzing the data with data literacy hand in hand to make sure we understand it, and then activating it through the concepts that we have demoed. I thank you very much for your time. And I really hope you did enjoy it. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Thanks very much.